Okay, so let's get right into it. Think about your brain for a second. It's not just one thing. It's more like a cockpit with two very different personalities fighting for the controls. You've got the autopilot, fast emotional running on instinct, and then you have the pilot, slow, logical, and careful. We're going to break down that hidden operating system to figure out, why you do the things you do.
I mean, you've seen this, right? It's one of those weird things about people. You've got one person just calmly sipping their coffee while everything around them is on fire, and then there's another person who seems to think a 2 p.m. meeting is just, well, a vague suggestion. You might even be one of them. So what is actually going on inside their heads?
And here's the absolute key to understanding all of it. What we see on the outside, that behavior, that's just the autopilot in action. And get this, about 95% of the time, it's the one in the driver's seat, just running on habits, old emotions, and gut feelings. A person's calmness, their lateness, even why they need to be alone. It's all a signal from a much deeper place. So let's decode some of them.
First up, the calm person. We all know one, right? They just seem completely unshakable. But here's the thing, not all calm is created equal. There are actually 3 totally different mindsets that can be hiding behind that exact same peaceful expression.
Just think for a second about how exhausting this must be. This is the person whose emotional autopilot is just screaming, "We're all going to die, this is not fine," all while their logical pilot is forcing their face to say, "Yes, I'm very excited about this synergistic opportunity." It is the art of emotional masking, and it will burn you out like nothing else.
Now, this is a completely different story. These folks aren't calm because they've found some kind of inner peace or Zen state. Nope. They're calm because their autopilot has been completely rewired by something awful in their past. They've already seen worse, so when a crisis hits, their nervous system just shuts down. It's not peace, it's armor. And that line just hits you, right? It really gets to the heart of it. That sense of calm they have, it was paid for with battles they never, ever asked to fight, and with scars that most of us will never see. It's a very quiet kind of strength, but man, it came at a high price.
And then there's this type, my personal favorite. These quiet geniuses don't panic because their pilot has already put in all the work up front. By the time something actually goes wrong, they have mentally rehearsed it a dozen times. Their secret weapon is just hyper-preparedness. They use pure logic to calm down their autopilot's potential freakout before it even starts.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about another habit we totally misjudge all the time: lateness. Just like with calmness, we tend to write it off as a simple character flaw, but the psychology behind it? It is surprisingly deep. And yeah, there are different types here too.
So this person isn't trying to lie to you, they're lying to themselves. It's a classic autopilot error called the planning fallacy. Our brains are just naturally optimistic about time. We consistently underestimate how long things are going to take, even when we have mountains of evidence to the contrary. It's like their autopilot just hits delete on every memory of a past traffic jam or a misplaced set of keys.
Now, this one is really fascinating. In this case, the lateness isn't the actual problem. It's just a symptom. The autopilot is literally trying to protect the person. So if you find yourself always running late for very specific things, like, say, family holidays or big work presentations, your subconscious might be hitting the emergency brake as a way of protesting something that gives you major anxiety.
And last but not least, we have the main character. Their autopilot has learned that being late actually satisfies a much deeper need, the need to feel important. See, deep down, there's a part of them that enjoys being waited on because it reinforces this unconscious idea about social status. That important people don't wait for others. Others wait for them.
All right, what about the choice to be alone? Society really gets this one wrong, I think, just lumping everyone who likes solitude into the same box. But there's a huge difference between choosing to be alone to recharge your batteries and hiding out from the world because you're scared.
This is such a critical distinction to make. See, healthy solitude is when the pilot makes a conscious choice to recharge in a personal sanctuary. You're actually running toward yourself. But when solitude becomes a shield, that's the autopilot running from the world because it's convinced that getting close to people will only lead to pain. One is a choice for self-care, the other is a defense against fear. And that brings us to our last behavior, that powerful, sometimes overwhelming urge to declutter. For some of us, it's all about creating a sense of peace, but for others, it's about a desperate grab for control.
So, you've got 2 camps here. First, the liberators. They're driven by their pilot. There's actually a study from Princeton that found physical clutter literally competes for your attention. So for them, clearing a physical space actually creates mental space. Then you've got the chasers. Their autopilot is screaming for a feeling of safety. When life gets chaotic and out of control, they get this little dopamine hit from controlling their immediate environment. It's a coping mechanism.
So, after looking at all these different behaviors, what's the big idea here? What is our hidden operating system, that autopilot? What is it really trying to tell us with all this?
So here's the bottom line. These behaviors, they're not just simple character flaws. They are signals. They're messages from our inner world about our needs, our history, our fears. They are the language of the autopilot, and learning how to actually listen to it can change everything.
And this is the thought I really want to leave you with. The next time you see these behaviors in other people or even in yourself, what if you swapped judgment for curiosity? What if you decided to engage your pilot and saw every single habit not as some problem that needs to be fixed, but as a message that needs to be understood? What do you think you might learn then?